sometimes you gotta get the dust on to shake the dust off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We spent a few buckets of money on a 2023 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392 Extreme Recon Edition, and we still hadn't taken it off-road. I mean, who buys an insanely expensive Jeep Wrangler Rubicon just to take their kids to school? Well, I did, and I needed to change that, so we planned a shakedown trip to see what 470 horsepower feels like off-road, and to practice our camp setup to get ready for some big trips later this year. And if practice makes perfect, we needed a lot of practice. First thing I forgot.
Actually has to be on.
There's another thing I forgot. So far, off to a great start. Shakedown story continues. Overpaid for gas. Stupid, but shakedown. Okay, I'm about to put on the very first modification to Finnegan, and it's this. I ordered another 392 emblem, and I'm gonna try to put it like right here, just so anybody behind me knows that they're behind 392. We have a lot planned for this Jeep, but even though I have a garage full of things waiting to go on, I want to start simple and slow and get to know this rig a bit before really digging into the modifications. There will be lots more to come on this in the future. Joining us for a shakedown of their own was our dear friends Chris and Elsje from Frontier State Overland, and we also had car loads of kids on this one too, so all very good practice for some longer trips we're doing later this year. The convoy would feature Chris's JKU Ripley, Elsje's Gladiator Pixie, and our two Wranglers Finn and Finnegan. So as soon as we were packed, we all started our engines, but one of these rigs is not like the other.
Let's roll! Wow! I do like seeing that 392 in my rearview mirror. Whew.
To start, I was in the JK and Kate was in the 392, and our first stop was to gas up, where the shakedown mistakes began to emerge. Shakedown, first thing I forgot, my wallet. So we got to the gas station, and I didn't have my wallet, so luckily Kate had hers. And then I went to start filling up, and I'm driving Finn, not Finnegan, and I pressed the premium gas button. So I've overpaid for gas for Finn, and I forgot my wallet. So far off to a great start.
I feel like a newbie. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I've forgotten everything, and I have like first timer's brain. It'll come back to you. Chris, did you bring your Garmin? I did. It's charging right now. Okay, that is yet another thing that I forgot.
We were just on the radio and I realized there's another thing I forgot, which is my Garmin inReach Mini. Like, you should never forget that. I can't believe I forgot it. I got so cute in the last couple months. I just put everything away, you know, instead of keeping it in the rig all the time like I normally do. And I don't really have a checklist anymore because I generally just have everything and I don't really have to think about it. And this is the consequence. Forgot my wallet, the wrong gas in the rig, and now I've realized that I have forgotten my Garmin inReach. Luckily, Chris has his, so we're still kind of within reach of help if we need it, which I don't think we will, but you never know. So this is definitely a shakedown. Meanwhile, Kate was having a very different experience in Finnegan.
This is my first time driving Finnegan on our way off-road. I've only been driving it for 10 miles on the freeway. We're kind of on the offshoot off the freeway now, headed towards dirt. And it's such an amazing vehicle. It is so much smoother on the freeway than Finn was. And I'm just super stoked for Will to get these tires on dirt. So let's go do it.
But unfortunately, before we hit dirt, we discovered a few more mishaps. So what happened here, Elsje?
Well, apparently the Gladiator actually has to be on in order to be updating in a real-time PSI. So I'm sitting there and still at 41, looking at the tires, still at 41. It's not look like 41, so I turn the engine on. It's at 8.
Oh, that's a little low.
Just a bit.
So we're pumping it back up?
Up to 20.
Shakedown.
Indeed.
So we just stopped to air down, and two more things very shakedowny happened. One, I realized that I forgot my shoes. All I have is flip-flops, so I'm gonna have some pretty cold toes tonight. Stupid, but shakedown. And we went to go fill up gas, And something happened when we were trying to fill up gas in the 392, and we didn't actually put any gas in it. So we have about a half a tank there, which I think should be fine because we're not going very far, but you know, this is like, it could be a lot worse, but it's a little ridiculous at the moment.
Dumb mistakes aside, it was time to test out Finnegan. And this is what I learned what's so special about a 392. Needless to say, I left everyone in the dust.
Well, my first impressions driving this thing off-road is unbelievable. It is better off-road than on-road. So I just aired down to, I don't know, 20. So not even that aired down, and this thing is just floating on top of the dirt. And there's so much power, there's so much grip. I haven't even put it in 4 high yet, it's just in 4 auto. And it just grips the road and it wants to go so fast. The suspension on this is so surprising to me because it doesn't really ride like a Jeep. It rides so smooth, it almost feels like independent suspension, independent front suspension to me because of how smooth it is compared to my JK. So it'd be really interesting here to stop, get in the JK and really feel the difference. But right now, wow, I mean, this is something else, driving this thing off-road. Driving it on-road is amazing, but off-road's even better. Yes. Yes.
So just so much power on this, and it's really smooth. I'm using the paddle shifters right now, and it's so nice to be able to like keep my hands on the steering wheel while shifting, whereas usually I've got one hand on the steering wheel, one on the stick.
I was on cloud 9. I could barely believe that this is what my new off-road life would be like. And as we headed towards the South Fork of the Boise River, I decided to switch back to my JKU to let Kate get a feel for Finnegan off-road.
Okay, I'm driving the 392 off-road. It is pretty darn, I mean, it's just great. I don't have anything to say except so fun, and I'm just so happy Will got this vehicle.
Another thing we'd forgotten was the feeling of peace you get when you get off-road and off-grid. I believe there's something primal that awakens in us when we venture to new places, a survival instinct that makes us more aware of our surroundings. And even though we'd driven this exact road many times, that feeling of excitement and wonder feels new every time. Having a new rig is kind of like having a new puppy. It's full of first times, and now that we'd gotten Finnegan off the pavement, it was time to get him a little muddy for the first time. Finn, our JKU, is kind of an old salty dog, so playing in the puddles is no big deal. But something felt right about having these two rigs together on an adventure, each with their own strengths.
So driving Finn, the JK, is just a very different experience. It's still awesome, man. It like handles the off-road so well, and it's just, you know, it's a little bouncier, it's a little less, I don't know, comfortable. I still love driving this rig though. I don't know, it's just, driving the JK is pretty hard to beat, but the 392 is just in a class of its own.
We found our camping spot for the evening, and soon our focus shifted from driving off-road to getting settled at camp, which, with 4 rigs in the group, was a little different than we were used to.
It's better this way, but not better if like the whole driver's down.
Like kind of scooch over to the left, to the driver more.
Yeah, the whole rig.
There's a little bit.
So you'd have to get the whole rig closer this way. Right there you go. Might be a smidge down on the driver's side.
You want to put a block under it? Or do you think it's okay?
That's where our heads are, right?
That's where our heads are.
I think we should put a block.
Block! Blocks are... Where are the blocks?
Under M, I think. Under this passenger rear.
Will, what do you say about leveling rigs and staying married?
The couple that levels rigs together and stays together stays together.
With our rigs settled and leveled, the kids started finding ways to entertain themselves while outside, something I think is essential to growing up. And the adults started taking stock of what needed to get done.
Chris, the last time we did this, it was cold, snowy, and very, very muddy.
Yeah, that's right, over in Jarbidge, right?
Yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of blue sky today.
Yeah, it's this is a little bit different than Jarbidge. There's no prime rib at the end of the rainbow. So.
Yeah, but I'm not disappointed.
No.
Somehow, like, just looking at those mountains behind you does not make me feel disappointed.
I know. Yeah, they're gorgeous.
It's been a long time since Kate and I have set up camp together, and we definitely had some dust to brush off in terms of remembering our process and what goes where. Because this was a shakedown trip, we got to camp early and had lots of time to practice. Normally, I set up the tents, including the bathroom tent, and Kate unpacks the back of the Jeep and gets the kitchen ready, so we kind of fell back into that routine. Chris and Elsje were experimenting with a 2-tent setup for the first time, them in one and the kids in the other. Kate and I are watching this very closely. This is one of our favorite camping spots, complete with great views, and we were lucky enough to have the neighborhood bald eagle join us for a bit as well. Soon enough, our attention turned to prepping for dinner and prepping for a fire later in the evening. My son is getting old enough now that I can teach him some of the basics, which is incredibly gratifying as a father. The ladies were happy to be hanging out outside together again, and we had one new member of the group today, Alice, who was having her first dispersed camping experience.
So this is your first time out camping overlanding, right?
Yeah. Well, technically I went camping before, but I haven't went overlanding.
Okay, what do you think so far?
Pretty good. I really love the mountains, and it's a little bit breezy.
It is a little breezy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig your sunglasses though. Those are awesome.
Thanks.
Okay, we have set up camp. We are just been sitting around enjoying the views. It's been a little windy, but not too bad. And now it's time to cook the grub. So Kate has something going, and she's designated me the meat cooker. So I'm gonna cook these pork chops on the Otzi grill. And Chris, I think, is cooking pork chops as well. So we're gonna get started on dinner right now.
When I said I was cooking the pork chops, I really should have said Chris was cooking the pork chops. I tried to make myself useful and get the fire going, but I basically had nothing to do with making the food, which was looking quite delicious. Kate and my son were busily cooking, and pretty soon the smells were almost too much to handle. I had to know what was going on there.
Kate, what have you prepared?
Oh my goodness. So we have pork chops with creamed spinach and carrots.
Ooh la la.
Okay, first bites. Okay, you're a genius. You're a genius. It is so good.
And you were my helper, weren't you? You helped me peel the carrots.
Dinner didn't last long because I wolfed it down and got ready to do my part so Kate could relax.
So we have a rule that if you made the food, you shouldn't have to do the dishes. So since Kate made the food, I'm doing the dishes tonight, which I am happy to do because the food was so good. So far this shakedown trip has been, I would say, a success. I mean, we were still able to make a really great dinner, and, you know, most importantly, we got out. And that hasn't been easy lately because the weather's been pretty crazy here. So it's just nice to get out, and we're not doing anything but just like having dinner, going to bed. And there's something that's really great in the simplicity of that. But it's kind of like just practicing some stuff to get ready for some much bigger trips that are happening later this year. In fact, just weeks away, we're gonna embark on a bunch of really fun stuff. So I think for the rest of tonight, we're going to watch the sun light up the hills and the mountains around us, be grateful that we finally made it out, be grateful that all our stuff is working, and be really excited about what's to come.
When night fell, our little island cliff campsite started to get quite chilly, which made us all lean into the fire a little more, and we leaned closer to each other too. I found that putting our kids off-grid around a campfire with us naturally creates a way we can connect in a closer way. At night, around the campfire, there are almost no other distractions, and no real entertainment except for each other. Well, I did have one pretty massive distraction. It was a 470 horsepower 6.4 liter Hemi V8 Jeep, something I'd been dreaming about for a long time. And before long, we were all dreaming, or snoring, or both.
I'm about ready to go to bed. So, see you in the morning.
So I was gonna make myself coffee this morning, but first thing first, Alice is up early and she needs hot chocolate. So that's the first order of business. Okay, Alice, here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's very hot.
Thank you.
Now it's time for my coffee. Good morning. I've had a cup of coffee with Em. He had some hot chocolate and we enjoyed this view. And now we're just still kind of working through our process. There's a process when you get ready to go. There's a process when you're driving. There's a process when you're setting up camp. And then the next morning, there's a process to make breakfast and coffee. And I still feel like I'm doing everything with my left hand. But we're going to practice packing up camp, and then we'll have a nice drive out here in just a second. So for now, we're just gonna enjoy a few more of the views and take in the morning.
Another thing we forgot on this trip was how easy it is to lose track of time when you're off grid. And we realized we had to get back to the real world and pick up our daughter from a sleepover. You know, they say constraint drives innovation. Well, the time constraint of needing to get your daughter was exactly what we needed to shake all the dust off, break down camp, put everything away, and be ready to hit the trail. It was a total family effort, and before long, we were ready to head out.
Hey, I have to say, that was a pretty fast pack up.
Yeah, I agree. And thank you to Em for helping with the chairs. And I know you did too, but thank you. That was a big deal, Em. Thank you.
He says he just wanted spam.
You know, motivation's motivation.
I was about to say this is your reminder to put it in, take it out of four-wheel drive, but I don't think it ever comes out of four-wheel drive, is it? But is it up in 4 auto?
Yep, 4H auto.
So we headed down the mountain, thinking we'd just stop, air up, scoot into town, and call it a successful shakedown with the new Jeep. However, there was one more surprise waiting for us.
Well, the shakedown story continues on this trip because we just stopped to air up tires with both rigs off my little single piston ARB air compressor, which has been flawless up until right now. It turned on, but it didn't want to turn on. It was kind of like, which is kind of weird, and then it just wouldn't produce any air. So when I connected it to the tires, it just wasn't pumping air. It was on, but it wasn't pumping air. So there's something going on, maybe the pressure switch or something. So I'm not exactly sure, but this is why you do a shakedown close to home, because now we're driving home on the interstate on air down tires, which is not great, but it's a very, very short drive. So yeah, I got to go home and figure out what's going on with this air compressor before the next trip.
So now we have some mysteries to solve on the JK, and at the time of publishing this video, I still have no idea what's going on here, and I have a ton of stuff to install on Finnegan to get ready for our upcoming trips. So let's hope I can get it all done in time. Right now, I'm not so sure. If you enjoyed watching our mishaps, mistakes, adventures, and anecdotes, now is a great time to subscribe. We have a ton of great adventures, installations, collaborations, and other overlanding content heading your way very, very soon. Until then, I'm Will. Thanks for watching.